In the surveillance footage, my husband and his secretary were entangled on our marital bed for a full 7 hours. I sat in the living room and watched the live stream for 7 hours. The next day, I handed him the divorce papers with a smile. I'll leave with nothing. I want 80 million. He sneered. In your dreams. 3 months later, he was on his knees before me, sobbing. Chloe, I'm begging you, come back. I'll give you $1 billion. Anything. I walked past him, my arm linked with my new boyfriend's, my high heels clicking on the floor. My name is Chloe. I'm 28. And I'm the wife of a CEO of a publicly traded company. We've been married for 3 years. I thought I was living a life everyone envied. Until last night. Honey, I have to work late tonight. Don't wait up for me, Mark said over the phone. I had just gotten back from a yoga class, still damp with sweat. His words warmed my heart. Then I'll make you some soup. I'll have the driver bring it over. No need. The company has catering, he said quickly. I have to get back to work. Beep, beep, beep. He hung up. I stood there for a few seconds, stunned. Mark loved my soup. He had never refused it before, no matter how busy he was. I put down my phone and was about to take a shower. As I passed the study, I suddenly remembered the home security system. Mark was a very controlling man. He had cameras installed in every corner of the house, including the bedroom. He said it was for security, and I hadn't thought much of it. On a strange impulse, I opened the security software. The screen showed a clear view of our master bedroom. And then I saw the most disgusting thing I had ever seen in my life. Mark and his secretary, Lily, were in our bed, in the throes of passion. My fingers trembled. I could barely hold the mouse. Lily was a 23-year-old girl, pure and sweet. She had just graduated and joined Mark's company. I had even taken her under my wing, telling her to come to me if she ever needed anything. Now, this girl I had taken care of was in my bed, with my husband. I fought back a wave of nausea and clicked record. If I was going to watch, I might as well see it all. The timestamp said 7:40 p.m. They were just getting started. I mentally calculated the time. Mark always had good stamina. I went to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of red wine, and moved a chair in front of the computer. If they were going to put on a show, I would be the audience. 7 hours. A full 7 hours. I sat there and watched the whole thing, like a movie. From anger to disgust. From disgust to numbness. And finally, I found it almost funny. Mark. Oh, Mark. You probably never dreamed that your act of betrayal would be so perfectly documented by the very cameras you had installed. At 2:40 a.m., they were finally finished. Lily lay on his chest, cooing. Mark. My love. When are you going to divorce Chloe? I don't want to be the other woman anymore. Mark stroked her hair. Soon. Just wait a little longer. Her father's company is still useful to me. I need to acquire it first. How long will that take? Lily pouted. I'm already pregnant. What? I nearly jumped out of my chair. Mark was also shocked. What did you say? Pregnant. Yes. 2 months along. Lily took out her phone and showed him an ultrasound picture. Look, this is our baby. Mark took the phone and stared at the screen, his expression unreadable. Aren't you happy, my love? Lily asked cautiously. Mark was silent for a long time. Finally, he nodded. I'm very happy, Lily. But you know now is not the time to make this public. I know. I can wait, Lily said, snuggling against him. As long as you have me in your heart, that's enough. Mark kissed the top of her head. After I've dealt with Chloe, I'll marry you. Dealt with Chloe, I sneered. In his eyes, our 3-year marriage was just something to be dealt with. I took a screenshot of the ultrasound and backed up the entire recording to the cloud. Then I shut down the computer, went upstairs, washed up, and went to bed. At 6 in the morning, Mark came home, right on time. I was already in the kitchen, preparing breakfast. When I heard the door open, I turned and gave him a gentle smile. You must be exhausted. Go take a shower. Breakfast will be ready soon. Mark looked a little tired, but he still came over and hugged me. I'm sorry. I was too busy last night to call you. It's okay. Work is important, I said, standing on my tiptoes to kiss his cheek. How's the project coming along? It's going well, he said, avoiding my eyes. I'm going to take a shower. As I watched his back, the smile on my face slowly faded. Acting. Anyone can do that. While he was in the shower, I called my lawyer. Mr. Lee, I'd like to consult with you about a divorce. There was a moment of silence on the other end. Mrs. Sterling, are you and Mr. Sterling having marital problems? He's cheating on me, and he got the other woman pregnant, I said, my tone calm. I want a divorce, and I want my fair share of the assets. Do you have evidence? Yes. Very solid evidence. Then this will be much easier. But Mrs. Sterling, are you sure you want a divorce? Mr. Sterling's assets are considerable. If you were willing to turn a blind eye, I cut him off. Mr. Lee, I'm not the kind of woman who can tolerate betrayal for money. Since he chose to betray me, he has to face the consequences. I understand. Are you free today? We can meet to discuss the details. 3 o'clock. At the usual place. After I hung up, Mark came downstairs. He was wearing a shirt I had bought him, with a tie I had picked out. He still looked like the gentle, successful man I had married. But now, just looking at him made me sick. Chloe, I might be home late again today, he said, sitting down for breakfast. There's just too much going on at the company. It's fine. I understand, I said, serving him a bowl of porridge. By the way, how is that new secretary? Lily. I heard she's new. Mark's spoon paused. She's all right. A hard worker. That's good. It's important for you men to have a capable assistant when you're working so hard, I said with a smile. If she needs any help, let me know. We're both women. After all, I understand her struggles. Mark glanced at me, a complex emotion in his eyes. No need. You don't have to worry about company matters. All right, I said, nodding obediently. Then you eat. I'm going to go organize the closets. Upstairs. I immediately took out his laptop. As his wife, I knew all his passwords. I logged into his email, his social media, his bank accounts, and began to gather more evidence. What I found was even worse than I had imagined. His chat history with Lily went back 3 months, starting with professional exchanges, then moving on to flirtatious banter, and now, declarations of eternal love. It was all there, step by step. What shocked me even more was that he had already started to transfer assets. He had moved company funds into several overseas accounts and had secretly transferred several of our jointly owned properties into his sister's name. So he had been planning this divorce all along, just trying to squeeze every last drop of value out of me first. I organized all the evidence and sent it to my own email. Then I deleted all the traces and put the laptop back where it was. At 3 o'clock, I arrived at the law firm. Mr. Lee was a renowned divorce lawyer, specializing in high net worth individuals. Mrs. Sterling, your evidence is indeed very strong, he said after reviewing my materials, pushing up his glasses. According to the law, Mr. Sterling's actions constitute a major fault, and you can demand damages. I don't want damages, I said, putting down my teacup. I want to divide the assets. His company is currently valued at $500 million. I want half. Mr. Lee was surprised. Mrs. Sterling, are you sure? With the evidence you have, you could demand much more. $250 million is enough, I said with a faint smile. But I have one condition. He has to leave with nothing. Leave with nothing. Yes. The house, the cars, the company shares. I don't want any of it. I only want cash. $250 million in cash. Mr. Lee thought for a moment. This is a rather unusual request, but with the evidence you have, it should be achievable. However, I doubt Mr. Sterling will agree easily. He will agree, I said, standing up, because he has no choice. I didn't go straight home from the law firm. I went to the bank first. I needed to separate my personal accounts from our joint accounts to prevent him from transferring any more assets. Then I went to a jewelry store and had all the jewelry he had ever given me appraised. It added up to several $100,000. Not a huge sum, but every little bit counts. By the time I was finished, it was evening. I drove home. He wasn't back yet. I sat in the living room, poured myself a glass of red wine, and waited. At 8 o'clock, he came home. He seemed to be in a good mood, a smile on his face. Chloe, the project has made a breakthrough. We might be able to finish ahead of schedule, he said, sitting down and trying to hug me. I dodged his embrace and took a file from under the coffee table. Mark, we need to talk. When he saw the file in my hand, his face changed. What is this? Divorce papers, I said, placing the file on the table. Sign them. He was stunned for a few seconds. Then he laughed. Chloe, what kind of joke is this? I'm not joking, I said, opening my laptop and playing last night's surveillance footage. Do you think this is a funny joke? On the screen, the sordid details of his affair with Lily were on full display. The color drained from his face. He stared at the screen, speechless. I leisurely sipped my wine, waiting for his reaction. Chloe, let me explain, he finally said, his voice trembling. Explain what? I closed the laptop. Explain how you two were at it for 7 hours on my bed. Or explain how Lily got pregnant with your child. His eyes widened. You heard all of that. I not only heard it, I recorded it, I said, playing a recording on my phone. After I've dealt with Chloe, I'll marry you. So, Mark, in your eyes, I'm just something to be dealt with. He collapsed onto the sofa, his head in his hands. Chloe, it's not what you think. Then what is it? I stood up, looking down at him. Were you forced to sleep with her? Were you forced to get her pregnant? He opened his mouth, but in the end, said nothing. I sat back down and pushed the divorce papers toward him. Take a look. My demands are not unreasonable. He took the papers with a trembling hand. After reading a few pages, he shot up. Chloe, are you crazy? You want $250 million in cash. Where am I going to get that kind of money? The company is currently valued at $500 million. Your shares are worth 51% of that. By law, I should get half. But I'm being merciful. I only want $250 million in cash, I said, my tone calm. That's more than fair. But the company's money is not my personal money, he said, agitated. You're trying to ruin me. Then sell the company, I said, unconcerned. You were planning on transferring assets anyway. You might as well just liquidate everything. He turned even paler. You? How did you know? I took out a stack of bank statements. Whose overseas accounts are these? And when were our jointly owned properties transferred to your sister's name? He was completely stunned. He never thought I would have found out about all this. Mark, do you think I'm a fool? I sneered. You secretly transferred $30 million in assets. And now you're playing the victim. Chloe, calm down, he said, trying to approach me. I am calm, I said, taking a step back. You have two choices. Either you sign the divorce papers, or I take this evidence to court. Then you'll not only have to give me half the assets, but you'll also have to face the legal consequences of your affair. He froze. Legal consequences. Have you heard of bigamy? I asked, taking out Lily's ultrasound. She's 2 months pregnant. That's right around the time you two started your relationship. And at that time, we were still legally married. He took the ultrasound, his hand shaking violently. Also, transferring marital assets is illegal. $30 million. Mark, how many years in prison do you think that's worth? What? What do you want? He finally asked, understanding the gravity of the situation. I've already told you. Sign the divorce papers and give me $250 million in cash, I said, sitting back down. This is the best solution for everyone. For you, for me, and for Lily. He was silent for a long time. Finally, he said with a bitter smile, Chloe, we've been married for 3 years. How can you be so ruthless? Ruthless. I laughed at his words. Mark, when you were sleeping with another woman, did you think about my feelings? When you were planning to transfer our assets, did you think about our marriage? He was speechless. I stood up. I'm giving you 3 days to think about it. After 3 days, you either sign, or we'll see each other in court. With that, I went upstairs, leaving him alone in the living room, staring at the divorce papers. The next morning, when I woke up, he was gone. There was a note on the dining table. Chloe, I'm going on a business trip for a few days. We'll talk when I get back. Business trip. I sneered. He was definitely going to see a lawyer, trying to find a way out. Unfortunately for him, the evidence I had was enough to send him to prison. He had no way of turning this around. I had a leisurely breakfast and then drove to my company. Yes, I have my own company. While it's not as big as his, it's still a publicly traded company. I'm the vice president, mainly in charge of investments and acquisitions. Good morning, MS. Sterling, you seem to be in a good mood today, my assistant said, bringing me a coffee. Yes, something good is about to happen, I said with a smile, taking the coffee. By the way, could you schedule a meeting with my friends at the investment bank? I'd like to get a detailed valuation of the Sterling Group. My assistant was surprised. Are you planning to acquire them? Not acquire. Just looking to invest. I explained. You don't need to worry about the details. Just arrange the meeting. That afternoon, my friends from the investment bank came over. Chloe, the Sterling Group is indeed a good investment target, my friend said, looking at the analysis report. But there seem to be some problems lately. What kind of problems? There are rumors that the CEO might be involved in an affair and is transferring assets. The stock price has already started to fluctuate, my friend said, frowning. Are you sure you want to invest at this time? A thought came to me. Where are these rumors coming from? Not sure, but they're spreading fast. A lot of people in the industry are watching. So, news of his affair was already getting out. News travels fast these days. So, what is the current, true valuation of the company? I asked. Excluding these negative rumors, it's around 400 to 500 million. But if the rumors are true, the valuation will drop significantly. How significantly? To 200 million. At most? I did a quick calculation. If the company's value really dropped to 200 million, even if he sold the entire company, he wouldn't be able to come up with the 250 million in cash he owed me. But that was fine. I had other plans. When I got home that evening, he still wasn't back. I got a call from my lawyer, MS. Sterling. I have an update for you, he said, his voice excited. Mr. Sterling contacted several lawyers today, but they all turned him down. Turned him down. Why? Because your evidence is too strong. No lawyer wants to take on a case they're guaranteed to lose. I smiled. So he must be getting desperate now. Yes. From what I understand, he also tried to get a loan from the bank today, but he was rejected. The bank knows too. The business world is small. News travels fast. A lot of financial institutions are now watching the situation. I nodded, satisfied. My plan was working perfectly. He thought he could buy time, but he didn't know that time was working against him. On the third night, he finally came home. He looked much more haggard, with dark circles under his eyes, and he hadn't shaved. Chloe, we need to talk, he said, slumping onto the sofa. Have you made up your mind? I asked, closing the book I was reading. 250 million is too much. I really can't afford it, he said, his face pleading. Can you ask for a little less? No, I said, refusing flatly. Mark, this is not the time for you to bargain. In a few days, the company's stock price will drop even further. He looked up at me. Is the stock drop related to you? What do you think? I said, neither confirming nor denying. He was silent for a long time. Finally, he sighed. If I give you 250 million, the company will be gone. That's not my problem, I said coldly. You should have thought about that when you chose to betray me. Chloe, he started to say. I cut him off. Don't say my name. It's disgusting. He turned pale, his lips moving. But in the end, he said nothing. Tomorrow is the last day, I said, standing up. I want your answer by tomorrow evening. As I went upstairs, I heard him smashing things in the living room. I just smiled and continued on my way. The next day was Friday. I took the day off to wait for his answer. Around noon, the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find a beautiful young woman standing outside. It was Lily. She was wearing a white dress, her belly slightly showing, and she was holding a gift bag. Chloe, she said with a sweet smile. I've come to see you. Chloe. I almost laughed at her audacity. What is it? I asked, not letting her in. Chloe, I know you might have some misunderstandings about me, she said, biting her lip, looking pitiful. I wanted to explain. Explain. I leaned against the doorframe. Explain how you seduced my husband. Or explain how you got pregnant with his child. She turned pale. Chloe, how can you say that? It was Mark who initiated. So you admit you have a relationship? I raised an eyebrow. She realized she had misspoken and quickly waved her hands. No, that's not what I meant. All right, stop acting. I cut her off. I saw the surveillance footage. Your performance in my bed was quite spectacular. She stared at me, her eyes wide, clearly not expecting me to know so much. Chloe. I. She stammered. I didn't mean to. It was Mark who said your relationship was not good, that you were about to get a divorce. Oh. What else did he say? I asked. Intrigued. He said you were just his wife in name only. That the person he truly loves is me. She said, her voice getting smaller and smaller. I smiled. Lily, what did you come here to say today? Chloe. I know you're angry, but the child is innocent. She said, touching her belly. I'm begging you, please let Mark go. We can give you money. A lot of money. How much? I asked. A flicker of hope appeared in her eyes. 5 million. We'll give you 5 million. Will you agree to a divorce? 5 million. I laughed at her naivety. Lily, do you know what Mark's net worth is? I don't know. She shook her head. Several hundred million. I said lightly. And you think you can buy me off with 5 million? Her face turned pale. Then how much do you want? 250 million. What? She shrieked. 250 million. Are you crazy? I'm not crazy. You two are. I sneered. You think cheating has no price. You think betrayal is free. She stumbled back a few steps, nearly falling. Chloe, you're trying to kill us. Kill you. I found it even more amusing. Did you two ever think that when you were in my bed, you were killing me? She was speechless. I moved to close the door. If there's nothing else, you can go. I don't want to see you. Wait. She blocked the door. Chloe, I'm begging you. The child in my belly really can't be without a father. That's not my problem, I said, my face impassive. You should have thought about that when you chose to betray me. But, she started to say. My phone rang. It was Mark. Chloe, did Lily come to see you? He asked, his voice anxious. She did. She's at my door right now, I said, looking at her. Don't listen to her nonsense. Make her come back. I'm not listening to her nonsense. I'm listening to her pleas, I said calmly. But it's no use. My demands won't change. He was silent for a few seconds. Chloe, I agree to your terms. I was taken aback. What did you say? I said. I agree to give you 250 million, he said, his voice weary. But I need time to raise the money. Hearing this, Lily's face turned ashen. How much time? I asked. A month. Too long. A week. At most. A week is impossible, he said, his voice rising. Chloe, you have to understand my situation. I don't, I said, refusing flatly. Mark, you're in no position to bargain. Either a week, or we'll see each other in court. There was a long silence on the other end. Finally, he said, fine. 1 week. I nodded, satisfied. A wise choice. After hanging up, Lily was in tears. Chloe, are you really so heartless? She cried. For you. Mark is even selling the company. He's not doing it for me. He's doing it for himself. I corrected her. If he doesn't give me the money, he's going to prison. She froze. Prison. Bigamy. Transferring marital assets. That's enough to keep him busy for a while. I sneered. Better to lose some money than to go to jail. She was completely stunned. She had clearly never thought things would get so serious. Do you understand now? I asked, looking at her pale face. It's not me who's pushing him. He's pushed himself to the brink. She collapsed to the floor, sobbing into her hands. I felt no sympathy, just watched her coldly. Sympathy. I'd save that for someone who deserves it. Lily, let me give you a piece of advice, I said before closing the door. Mark is in no position to save himself right now. You'd better find another way out. With that, I slammed the door shut, leaving her to cry on my doorstep. Over the next few days, Mark was a whirlwind of activity. He was desperately trying to raise the money, selling his house, his stocks, borrowing from friends. I, on the other hand, was leisurely at home, drinking tea and reading, occasionally going to the office. On the 3rd day, I received an unexpected call. Is this MS? Chloe. This is the secretary of the board of directors of the Sterling Group. What is it? Mr. Sterling would like to invite you to tomorrow's board meeting. I was taken aback. I'm not a shareholder, but you're Mr. Sterling's wife. And the topic of discussion concerns you. Concerns me. It seemed he was planning to pull some stunt at the meeting. All right, I'll be there. The next morning, I arrived at the Sterling Group's conference room on time. I knew most of the board members from the various company parties I had attended over the years. Mark was sitting at the head of the table. When he saw me, a complex emotion flashed in his eyes. "Chloe, you're here. Have a seat," he said, pointing to the chair next to him. I didn't sit there. I chose a seat near the door instead. After the meeting began, he was the first to speak. "Everyone, I've called you here today to discuss a major change in the company." "What kind of change?" an old shareholder asked. He glanced at me. "I'm planning to sell some of my shares to resolve a personal matter." The room erupted. "Mr. Sterling, how many shares are you planning to sell?" 40%. "What?" several shareholders exclaimed. 40% of the shares was worth over 200 million. "Mr. Sterling, why are you selling so many shares? The company is doing very well," another shareholder asked. Confused, he was silent for a few seconds. Finally, he looked at me. "Because I'm getting a divorce and need to divide the assets." The room fell silent instantly. Everyone looked at me, their eyes full of a mixture of sympathy and curiosity. "Ms. Chloe, are you really demanding so much?" an elderly shareholder asked me. "Not at all," I said with a faint smile. "According to the law, I'm entitled to half. Now I'm only asking for the value of 40%. I'm being very merciful, but this will affect the controlling stake in the company." "That's not my problem." I cut him off. "Mark made a mistake, and he has to face the consequences." His face was grim. "Chloe, can you please not say these things here?" "Why not?" I stood up. "The shareholders have a right to know the truth. Mr. Sterling not only had an affair, but he also got his mistress pregnant and even secretly transferred 30 million in marital assets." The room was dead silent. The shareholders exchanged glances, clearly shocked by the severity of the situation. "Ms. Chloe, do you have evidence?" the board secretary asked cautiously. I took out a USB drive. "Surveillance footage, bank statements, chat records. What evidence don't I have?" The color drained from his face. I continued. "If he doesn't agree to the division of assets, I will submit this evidence to the court and the disciplinary committee. Then it won't just be a matter of divorce, but a criminal offense." Several shareholders gasped. An old shareholder stood up. "Mr. Sterling, since things have come to this, I suggest you cooperate with Ms. Chloe's demands. The company cannot be affected by your personal problems." "That's right. If this really goes to court, the damage to the company's reputation will be even greater." Another shareholder agreed. He sat in his chair, his hands clenched into fists. He knew he had no choice. "Fine," he said through gritted teeth. "I agree to sell the shares." I nodded, satisfied. A wise choice. After the meeting, I was about to leave when he called out to me. "Chloe, do you really have to go this far?" he asked, his voice weary. "Mark, I should be asking you that question," I said, turning to face him. "Did you really have to betray me to this extent?" He was speechless. I walked to the door, then suddenly remembered something and turned back. "By the way, you should deal with Lily's pregnancy soon. Otherwise, when the child is born, you'll have to pay child support." His face grew even darker. I ignored him and walked out of the Sterling Group building. A week later, he had the money ready as promised. We met at the law firm to sign the divorce papers. He looked much more haggard, thinner, and had lost all his former vigor. "Is the money ready?" I asked, sitting across from him. "It's ready," he said, taking out a check. 250 million. I took the check, looked it over, and handed it to my lawyer to verify. "It's all in order," he said, nodding. "Ms. Chloe, you can sign now." I picked up the pen and signed my name on the divorce papers. He watched me sign, a flicker of unwillingness in his eyes. "Chloe, are you sure you won't regret this?" he asked one last time. "Regret what?" I put down the pen. "Regret marrying you." "Yes, I do regret that a little." My words stung him. He turned even paler. "Your turn," I said, pushing the papers toward him. He took the pen with a trembling hand, hesitated for a long time, and finally signed his name. My lawyer collected the papers. "Congratulations. You are now officially divorced." I stood up, ready to leave with the check. "Chloe," he suddenly called out to me. I turned back. "Is there anything else? Do you really not love me at all anymore?" he asked, his eyes red. I looked at him and suddenly smiled. "Mark, do you think I should love a man who betrayed me?" He was speechless. I continued. 3 years of marriage. And in your heart, it was only worth 7 hours of passion. In your eyes, I was just a problem to be dealt with. At my words, tears finally streamed down his face. Chloe, I was wrong. I was really wrong. Wrong. I sneered. Mark, what's the use of being wrong? Can you turn back time? Back to before you betrayed me. He shook his head. No. Then don't say such useless things, I said, turning to leave. Mark, in this lifetime, we will never have anything to do with each other again. As I walked out of the law firm, I took a deep breath. Finally, free. I drove to the bank and deposited the check. Looking at the extra $250 million in my account, I felt a sense of joy. This money was enough for me to live the life I wanted. Over the next few days, I began to plan my new life. First, a new house. I didn't want to stay in the house I had shared with him for another day. I bought a small, cozy apartment in the city center and decorated it exactly to my liking. Then, work. I resigned from my father's company and decided to start my own business. Chloe, are you sure about this? My father asked, concerned. You need time to adjust after a divorce. Why don't you take a break at the company first? Dad, I've thought it through, I said, sitting in his office. I want to do something I love. My father looked at me, his eyes full of pity. That bastard Mark. I knew he was no good from the start. Dad, let's not talk about the past. I cut him off. I'm fine now, he sighed. So, what do you want to do? Investments, I said. I'm very interested in it, and I have some experience. All right, I support you, he said, nodding. If you need any help, just let me know. With my father's support, I began to set up my own investment firm, registering the company, hiring employees, finding projects. I was busy and happy. And that's when I met him. I was at a coffee shop, meeting with a project team. After the meeting, as I was leaving, I accidentally bumped into a man. I'm so sorry. I apologized quickly. It's all right, the man said with a gentle smile. It was my fault for not looking where I was going. I looked up at him and was stunned. He was very handsome, about 30, dressed in a simple white shirt and black trousers, with a gentle and refined air. What captivated me most were his eyes, clear and clean, like a mountain spring. Are you all right, miss? He asked with concern. Oh, I'm fine, I said, coming back to my senses, a little embarrassed. He looked at the scattered documents on the floor. Are these yours? Yes, thank you, I said, bending down to pick them up. He knelt to help me. An investment proposal. Are you an investor? Yes. I'm just starting out, I said, a little awkwardly. Still learning. He smiled. I'm in investments too, if you don't mind. Could we be friends? I looked at his sincere eyes and nodded. Of course. My name is Julian, he said, holding out his hand. Chloe, I said, shaking his hand. His hand was warm and strong, making my heart beat a little faster. MS. Chloe, if you're free, could I buy you a cup of coffee? He asked. I looked at the time. I had nothing else planned. All right. We found a table by the window. He was an excellent conversationalist, knowledgeable and humorous, with a unique perspective on investments. Talking with him, I felt very relaxed. How long have you been in investments? MS. Chloe, he asked. You'll laugh. But only a month, I said, a little embarrassed. I used to work in my family's business. Now I want to start my own. That's very brave, he said with admiration. But the investment world is a tough one. It's hard to go it alone. Yes, I'm learning, I said, nodding. Do you have any advice, Mr. Julian? He thought for a moment. If you don't mind, I could share some of my experience. My eyes lit up. Really? Of course. He smiled. How could I refuse a request from a beautiful woman? I blushed. You're very smooth, Mr. Julian. We talked for over 2 hours, until the coffee shop was about to close. As we were leaving, he gave me his business card. I look forward to seeing you again, MS. Chloe. Back home. I stared at his card. This was the first time since my divorce that a man had made my heart flutter. He was gentle, a gentleman, knowledgeable, completely different from Mark. Mark was domineering and controlling. Julian was like a gentle spring breeze. Perhaps this was the kind of person I really needed. The next day, he called me. MS. Chloe, are you free today? I'd like to treat you to dinner. Why? I asked, pleasantly surprised. I forgot to celebrate our meeting yesterday, he said with a smile. And I found a good project I'd like to share with you. All right. I agreed immediately. That afternoon, I took extra care in getting ready, choosing a blue dress and putting on light makeup. He had booked a table at a French restaurant. The ambience was elegant and romantic. You look beautiful today, Ms. Chloe, he said, a look of admiration in his eyes when he saw me. Thank you, I said, a little shyly. When we were ordering, he thoughtfully asked about my preferences and ordered all my favorite dishes. Ms. Chloe, have you been married before? He asked suddenly, in the middle of our meal. I was taken aback, not knowing how to answer. If it's inconvenient to say, please just forget I asked, he said quickly, apologizing. I was just a little curious. I hesitated for a moment, then decided to be honest. I have, but I'm divorced now. I'm sorry. That was rude of me, he said with an apologetic look. It's fine, I said, waving my hand. It's all in the past. Then, do you mind if I ask why you got divorced? I gave a bitter smile. He cheated on me. He frowned. That man must be blind to have betrayed such an outstanding woman as yourself. A warmth spread through my heart. Thank you for your comfort. I'm not comforting you. It's the truth, he said seriously. You deserve better, Ms. Chloe. I looked at his sincere eyes, my heart racing. Then, what about you, Mr. Julian? Are you married? I summoned my courage and asked. No, he said, shaking his head. I've been waiting for the right person. Our eyes met, and a spark of something flew between us. Ms. Chloe, if I said, I wanted to pursue you, would you mind? He asked suddenly. His directness made me blush. Isn't this a little too fast? When it comes to feelings, it's not a matter of speed, but of suitability, he said with a gentle smile. And Ms. Chloe, I think we're very suitable. My heart was pounding. I didn't know what to say. Of course. If you feel it's too sudden, I can wait, he added. I have plenty of patience. I looked at him, a warm feeling spreading through me. Is this the charm of a mature man? Unlike the domineering Mark, he gently asked for my opinion. Mr. Julian, I need some time to think, I said in a small voice. Of course. I'll wait for your answer, he said, nodding. But while I'm waiting, can I continue to pursue you? I blushed even more. How do you plan to pursue me? By taking you to dinner, to the movies, by walking you home, he said gently, by making you feel cherished. My heart melted completely. Cherished. That was something I had never felt with Mark. All right, I said, nodding. But I have one condition. Please. Say it. Don't rush me. Give me some time to adjust. Of course, he said with a gentle smile. I told you. I have plenty of patience. In that moment, I suddenly felt that maybe divorce wasn't the end, but a new beginning. For the next month, Julian was indeed very patient in his pursuit of me. He would send me a good morning text every day, check in to see if I had eaten during his work breaks, and walk and talk with me in the evenings. He never forced me to do anything, always gently asking for my opinion and respecting my choices. This feeling of being cared for gradually eased my fear of marriage. Chloe, what do you want to eat today? He called. Anything. I'm not picky, I said, organizing files in my office. Then I'll come pick you up. How about we get some Sichuan food? All right, I said, putting down my work. I'll be right down. When I got downstairs, I saw him already waiting. He was leaning against his car, holding a bouquet of sunflowers. For me, I asked, pleasantly surprised as I took the flowers. I heard sunflowers represent sunshine and hope. He said gently, I hope you're happy every day. A warmth filled my heart. Thank you. After we got in the car, he suddenly said, Chloe, there's something I need to tell you. What is it? I asked, a little nervously. I have to go on a business trip for a week. To Shanghai, he said. I won't be able to be with you for a few days. I felt a pang of disappointment. Oh, work is important. Will you miss me? He asked, turning to look at me, his eyes full of anticipation. I blushed. Yes, I will. He smiled. Then I'll miss you too. At dinner, he served me food, his actions natural and thoughtful. Chloe, do you still think about him? he asked suddenly. I was taken aback. Who? Your ex-husband. I thought for a moment. I think about him occasionally, but not with fondness. With relief. Relief that I left him in time. I said seriously. If I had stayed with him, I would have never met you. His eyes instantly lit up. Chloe, this is the first time you've confessed your feelings to me. I blushed. Is this a confession? In my heart, it is, he said, taking my hand. Chloe, will you be my girlfriend? I looked at his affectionate eyes, my heart racing. A month of getting to know him had convinced me that he was a man worth trusting. He was gentle, considerate, responsible, and most importantly, he truly loved me. I will, I said, nodding. He jumped up in excitement, drawing the attention of the other diners. He sat back down, a little embarrassed, but the smile on his face was irrepressible. Chloe, thank you for giving me this chance, he said, squeezing my hand. I will treat you well. I believed him, because his eyes were so sincere. That night, he took me home, downstairs. He gave me a gentle hug. Good night, Chloe. Good night, I said, reluctant to part. I'll be back soon, he said, placing a light kiss on my forehead. I'll miss you. Watching his car drive away, my heart was full of happiness. Is this what it feels like to be in love? Sweet, warm, and full of anticipation. I had never felt this way with Mark. With him, it was more about giving and compromising. I rarely felt loved. Now I understood that love should be a two-way street. Two people cherishing and caring for each other. The next day, he left for his business trip. He was very busy, but he still found time to send me messages. Chloe, I miss you. Just finished my meeting. Contacting you first. The sunset is beautiful today. A pity you're not here to see it. Every message made my heart flutter. Just as I was basking in the sweetness of love, Mark reappeared. I had just left the office and was about to get in my car when I saw him standing in the parking lot. He looked even more haggard, with a scruffy beard and dark circles under his eyes. Chloe, he said, walking over. Can I talk to you? There's nothing to talk about, I said coldly. We're divorced. I know, but I have something I want to say to you, he said, blocking my car door. Just 5 minutes. I looked at my watch. Go ahead. I'm in a hurry. Chloe, I regret it, he said, his eyes red. I really regret it. Can you give me another chance? I laughed at his words. Mark, you're regretting it now. It's too late. It's not too late. We can start over, he said urgently. I've broken it off with Lily. I'm trying to get the company back on its feet. I can give you a better life. Mark, have you misunderstood something? I cut him off. I'm doing very well now. I don't need anything from you. But we had 3 years together. His voice trembled. 3 years. I sneered. Mark, when you were sleeping with another woman in my bed, our relationship was already dead. He turned pale. Chloe, I really know I was wrong. What's the use of knowing you were wrong? I looked at him coldly. Mark, there's no medicine for regret in this world. So you're just going to be alone now? He asked. That's none of your business, I said, not wanting to talk to him anymore. Chloe, I know you. You're not the type to be alone, he said, staring at me intently. You have a new boyfriend, don't you? I didn't answer, but my expression betrayed me. His face instantly twisted with rage. Who is it? None of your business, I said, pushing him away and opening the car door. He grabbed my arm. Chloe, you can't do this to me. We've only been divorced for a month, and you've already found another man. Let go of me, I said, struggling to break free. Mark, you have no right to question me. I'm your ex-husband. Ex-husband, I scoffed. So what? Does that give you the right to control my private life? I won't allow you to be with another man, he said, his emotions running high. Chloe, you can only be mine. Are you crazy? I laughed at his domineering attitude. Mark, when you were cheating on me, why didn't you think of me as your wife? Now you remember. He was stunned, clearly not expecting me to retort like that. Mark, we're over, I said calmly. You live your life. I'll live mine. We'll stay out of each other's way. With that, I got in the car and started the engine. He tried to stop me, but I had already driven away. In the rearview mirror, I saw him standing there, a look of despair on his face. I felt nothing but annoyance. People like him. They always want what they can't have. When I was devoted to him, he didn't cherish me. He went looking for excitement elsewhere. Now that I didn't want him, he remembered how good I was. Unfortunately, there's no turning back. When I got home, I called Julian. Chloe. His voice was tired. You're still up so late. I miss you, I said directly. There was a moment of silence on the other end. Then a soft chuckle. I miss you too. When are you coming back? The day after tomorrow. I'll be back as soon as the project is finalized, he said. Chloe, did something happen? Your voice sounds a little off. I hesitated for a moment, then decided to tell him. My ex-husband came to see me. What did he want? His voice instantly turned cold. He wants to get back together, I said, but I refused. That's good, he said, relieved. Chloe, you're not going to soften up, are you? No, I said firmly. I have you now. Why would I go back? He laughed. I like hearing that. Chloe, when I get back, let's make our relationship public. All right, make it public. Yes, I want everyone to know that you're my girlfriend, he said gently, so no one will dare to bother you. A warmth filled my heart. All right, after hanging up, my mood instantly improved. With him by my side, I wasn't afraid of anything. The next afternoon, I was in a meeting at the company when my assistant rushed in. MS. Sterling. It's bad. There's someone causing trouble downstairs. Trouble? Who? I stood up. It seems to be your ex-husband, she whispered. I frowned. What is he doing downstairs? He's holding a banner, saying you've abandoned your family and he wants an explanation. What? I quickly went to the window and looked down. Sure enough, I saw him standing at the entrance to the building, holding a banner that read, Chloe abandoned her family and refuses to get back together. A crowd had gathered, and some people were taking pictures and videos. I trembled with anger. What was he trying to do? Ruin my reputation. Should we call the police? MS. Sterling. My assistant asked. No, I said, calming myself. I'll handle it. On my way downstairs, I had already formulated a plan. He wanted to make a scene. Fine. I would play along. I walked out of the building and went straight to him. The crowd grew larger, everyone pointing and whispering. Mark, I said, my voice cold. He saw me, a triumphant look in his eyes. Chloe, you've finally come out. What do you want? I asked. I want you to come back to me, he said loudly. You're my wife. You can't be with another man. Ex-wife. I corrected him. Mark, we're divorced. So what if we're divorced? I don't agree. He shouted like a hooligan. Chloe, don't think you can just walk away with my $250 million. The crowd gasped at the number. $250 million in a divorce settlement. What did that even mean? I saw someone was already recording. It would probably be online soon. Since he wanted to make a scene, I would let him. You say I abandoned my family. I raised my voice. Then let me ask you, what about your affair? What about getting your mistress pregnant? The crowd exploded. What? He cheated and got his mistress pregnant. Then a divorce is what he deserves. He hadn't expected me to say all this in public. His face turned pale. Chloe, don't talk nonsense. Nonsense. I took out my phone. Do you want me to play the surveillance footage for everyone to see? His face went white. I continued. You say I abandoned my family. Let me ask you, when you were abandoning your family, did you ever think about the consequences? I didn't. He stammered. You didn't. I sneered. Then whose child is in Lily's belly? The crowd murmured, their eyes full of contempt for him. He knew he was in the wrong, but he still wouldn't give up. Chloe, I know I was wrong, but you can't be so heartless. Heartless. I was shocked by his audacity. Mark, when you were sleeping with another woman in my bed, why didn't you talk about being heartless? When you were transferring our marital assets, why didn't you talk about being heartless? When you were planning to abandon me, why didn't you talk about being heartless? Every word was a knife, stabbing at him. His face grew darker and darker. The crowd was on my side, everyone pointing and accusing him. This guy is so shameless. He cheated, and he still wants to get back together. The woman did the right thing. A man like that should be divorced. Hearing the comments, his face turned shades of red and white. He hadn't expected things to turn out this way. He had wanted to use a public scene to force me to comply. But instead, He had exposed his own dirty laundry. Chloe, he said, his voice full of anger and shame. Don't think you're so great just because you've found a new boyfriend. That's right. I have a new boyfriend. I admitted freely. A boyfriend who is 100 times better than you. He truly loves me, respects me. Unlike some people who are gentle and considerate on the surface, but betray their wives behind their backs. The crowd nodded in agreement. He trembled with rage. You, me what? I sneered. Mark, you should leave now. Otherwise, I'll call the police and report you for harassment. I'm not leaving, he said, sitting on the ground like a child. I'm not leaving until you agree to get back together. I looked at his pathetic display, my heart filled with nothing but disgust. This was the man I had once loved so deeply. Mark, you're only making me hate you more, I said coldly. If you have any dignity left, leave now. I have no dignity left, he shouted. Chloe, you took all my money. I have nothing left. That's what you deserve, I said, without a shred of sympathy. Mark, there's such a thing as karma in this world. You've brought all of this on yourself. With that, I turned and walked back into the building. Behind me, I heard his roar. Chloe, you'll regret this. I didn't look back. I just got in the elevator. The video of the incident quickly went viral online. The headlines were all eye-catching. Cheating scumbag loses everything. Begs for ex-wife's forgiveness in public. The comments were overwhelmingly in my favor. The heroine is so strong. Never compromises with a scumbag. $250 million in a divorce settlement. This woman is ruthless. Ruthless. The man cheated first. It's only right for the woman to get a settlement. That guy is so shameless. He cheated. And he still wants to get back together. Reading the comments, I was in a good mood. At least the public could tell right from wrong. The next day, Julian came back. He came to find me straight from the airport, his face full of concern. Chloe, I saw the news, he said, holding me tightly. Are you all right? I'm fine. It's all taken care of, I said, nuzzling against him. I missed you. I missed you too, he said, kissing the top of my head. Will he bother you again? I don't think so, I said, thinking. After making such a scene yesterday, he should know there's no hope. He breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. Chloe, let's make our relationship public today. Make it public. Yes. I want everyone to know that you're my girlfriend, he said seriously. So no one will dare to bother you. I nodded. All right. That evening, he posted a picture of us on his social media. In the picture, we were holding hands, smiling happily. The caption was simple. My girlfriend, Chloe. I reposted it with the caption. My boyfriend, Julian. Soon, the post was flooded with likes and comments. Most were congratulatory. Some were curious. Congratulations on finding true love. MS. Chloe, this guy is much more handsome than your ex-husband. Wishing you happiness. Reading the well wishes. My heart was warm. Just then, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hello. Chloe, are you really so heartless? It was Mark's hoarse voice. Mark. I frowned. You still have the nerve to call me. I saw your post, he said, his voice full of anger. You made your relationship public with that man. Yes, I said calmly. Is there a problem? Are you that eager to be with another man? He demanded. Mark, that's none of your business, I said, growing impatient. We're divorced. I don't need your permission to be with anyone. But we've only been divorced for 2 months. His voice trembled. Have you forgotten our 3 years together? 3 years. I laughed at his words. Mark, when you were sleeping with Lily in my bed, our relationship was already over. Chloe, I really know I was wrong. He started to sob. Can you give me another chance? I'll change. I really will. Mark, do you think I'd believe you? I sneered. You say you'll change. But can you change your nature? I can. I definitely can. He said urgently. Impossible, I said, refusing flatly. Mark, a leopard can't change its spots. I know what kind of person you are better than anyone. There was a long silence on the other end. Then his roar. Chloe, you'll regret this. I won't, I said calmly. On the contrary, I'm very glad I left you in time. With that, I hung up. Julian looked at me with concern. Your ex-husband again. Yes, but it's fine. I won't let him affect me, I said with a smile. With you by my side, I'm not afraid of anything. He gently held me. Chloe, I'll protect you. The next few days were peaceful. Mark didn't show up again, and my relationship with Julian grew more stable. He was a very considerate boyfriend. He would remember all my little habits, quietly keep me company when I was in a bad mood, and bring me late night snacks when I was working late. With him, I felt a happiness I had never known before. Chloe, have you gained some weight lately? He asked one night, touching my face. Have I? I asked, a little nervously. How much? He smiled. You look good even if you've gained weight. It means I'm taking good care of you. I breathed a sigh of relief, then had a thought. Are you hinting that I should lose weight? No, he said, quickly waving his hands. I just think you look a little rounder than when I first met you. You look more blessed. I laughed at his words. What do you mean? Blessed. Are you saying I'm getting old? Not old. Mature. He said seriously. A mature woman is the most charming. A sweet feeling filled my heart. I leaned against his shoulder. Julian, thank you for coming into my life. I said softly. I should be the one thanking you, he said, kissing the top of my head. Chloe, would you be willing to meet my parents? I was taken aback. Meet your parents? Isn't this a little too fast? We've been together for 3 months. I think it's time, he said gently. Of course. If you think it's too soon, we can wait. I thought for a moment. All right, let's meet them. I have to face it sooner or later. Really? He was overjoyed. Then let's go this weekend. I've already told them about you. They're very excited to meet you. They won't mind that I've been divorced, will they? I asked, a little worried. They won't, he said, taking my hand. Chloe, my parents are very open-minded. They just want to see me happy. That weekend, he took me to meet his parents. They lived in a villa in the suburbs. The environment was very elegant. His parents were very kind. When they saw me, they both had warm smiles on their faces. Chloe, you're here. Come in. His mother greeted me warmly. Hello, Uncle, Auntie, I said, a little nervously. Hello. You're so beautiful, his father said, looking me over. No wonder our Julian likes you so much. I blushed. You're too kind, Uncle. Inside, his mother had me sit down and chatted with me kindly. Chloe, Julian says you're in investments. Yes. I'm just starting out. Still learning, I said modestly. That's wonderful. Girls these days should have their own careers, she said with admiration. Unlike in our time, when we could only be housewives. We had a pleasant chat. His mother didn't ask me about my divorce, nor did she show any displeasure. At lunch, his father suddenly said, Chloe, Julian says you were married before. I was taken aback, then nodded. Yes, it's all right. We don't mind, his father said gently. Everyone has a past. What's important is the present and the future. A warmth spread through my heart. Thank you for your understanding, Uncle. We can see that Julian loves you very much, his mother said. He's never been this happy before. I glanced at him, who was sitting next to me, looking at me with a gentle expression. I love him very much too, I said sincerely. His parents both smiled. That's good. The greatest happiness is for two people who love each other to be together, his mother said. As we were leaving, she gave me a red envelope. This is a welcome gift. You must take it, she insisted. I couldn't refuse and had to accept it. In the car, I opened the envelope. Inside was a bank card. What's this? I asked him. He smiled. It's a welcome gift from my mother. It should be a lot. I was a little embarrassed. Isn't this too much? It's fine. My mother really likes you, he said. She said she hasn't seen me this happy in a long time. My heart was warm. I was also so glad to have met such a wonderful family. Compared to them, the Sterling family was a world apart. They were all so materialistic, only caring about benefits and never considering feelings. But this family was warm and accepting, making me feel the warmth of a home I had long forgotten. Julian, thank you for taking me to meet your parents, I said, taking his hand. I should be the one thanking you for being willing to come, he said gently. Chloe, I think we can consider getting married. Married. My heart raced. Isn't this a little too fast? We're not young anymore. Since we've found each other, there's no need to waste time, he said seriously. Chloe, I want to give you a complete home. I looked at his sincere eyes, a wave of emotion washing over me. I need some time to think, I said. Of course. I'll wait for you, he said with a gentle smile. But I'm sure you'll say yes. Back home, I lay in bed, thinking for a long time. Marry him. It would be a lie to say I wasn't tempted. But I had just gotten divorced, and my heart still carried some scars. What if he betrayed me too? No. I shook my head. He was not Mark. They were two completely different people. Mark was selfish and domineering, only thinking of himself. Julian was gentle and considerate, always putting me first. Maybe I should give myself a chance, and give him a chance too. At this thought, I picked up my phone and sent him a text. I'm willing to marry you. His call came almost instantly. Chloe, are you serious? His voice was filled with an irrepressible excitement. I'm serious. I smiled. But I have one condition. Say it. I'll agree to anything. I want a grand wedding. I said seriously. I want everyone to know that I, Chloe, have found the man who truly loves me. Of course. He agreed immediately. I'll give you the grandest wedding in the world. After hanging up, my heart was full of happiness. This time, I would cherish it. He was true to his word. The very next day, he began to plan our wedding. He hired the best wedding planner, booked the most luxurious hotel, and even had my wedding dress custom made. MS. Chloe, take a look at these designs. Which one do you like? The planner asked, showing me several wedding dress catalogs. I flipped through the beautiful photos. Every dress was stunning. How about this one? He asked, pointing to a simple and elegant dress. It suits your style. I looked at it. I did like it. Let's go with this one. All right. I'll have the designer come for a fitting, the planner said, taking notes. For the next month, we were busy with wedding preparations, choosing the rings, taking wedding photos, finalizing the guest list. Every detail had to be personally overseen. It was tiring, but I was happy, because this time, I was getting married for love. When I married Mark, it was more out of gratitude and habit. Now I understood what true love was. Just a week before the wedding, I received an unexpected call. MS. Chloe, it's Lily, a woman's voice said. I was taken aback. What do you want? I'd like to meet with you, she said in a small voice. There's something I want to tell you. We have nothing to talk about, I said, refusing directly. MS. Chloe, I'm begging you, she said, her voice choked. Just one meeting, please. I hesitated for a moment, then finally agreed. All right, you pick the place. The next afternoon, I went to the coffee shop she had suggested. She was already there, her belly much larger now, about 7 or 8 months along. She saw me, a complex emotion in her eyes. Chloe, she called me. Go ahead. What is it? I asked, sitting down without any pleasantries. I came to apologize, she said, looking down. I'm sorry. I'm the one who destroyed your marriage. I was surprised. I never thought she would apologize. What's the use of apologizing? I said coldly. I know it's no use, but I have to say it, she said, looking up, her eyes filled with tears. Chloe, I'm so sorry. I looked at her haggard state, my heart devoid of any sympathy. Besides apologizing, is there anything else? I asked. I'd like to ask you to talk to Mark, she said, biting her lip. He's not doing well. Not doing well. I raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? He's been drinking every day. He doesn't care about the company anymore. It's like he's a different person. She cried. What does that have to do with me? I said coldly. Lily, you're asking the wrong person. But it's all because of you, she said urgently. Chloe, he really loves you. Can't you forgive him just this once? I laughed at her words. Lily, are you here to be his advocate? She blushed. I just can't bear to see him like this. Can't bear it. I sneered. When you were seducing him, why didn't you think about my feelings? Now you're talking about not being able to bear it. She was rendered speechless by my words. I continued. Lily, you know what? Mark's current state is entirely his own doing. But, she started to say. No buts. I cut her off. Lily, let me give you a piece of advice. Instead of worrying about him, you should think about the child in your belly. She touched her belly, a look of panic in her eyes. He is in no position to save himself right now. Do you think he's capable of taking care of you and your child? I said, without a shred of mercy. The color drained from her face. I stood up. Lily, this is the last time I will see you. From now on, I don't want to hear anything about you or him. With that, I turned and left. I could hear her sobs behind me, but I didn't look back. Some people don't deserve sympathy. Some things are not worth looking back on. Right now, I just wanted to focus on my wedding and welcome my new life. The day before the wedding, Julian and I stayed in separate places. As is tradition, I stayed at my parents' house, and he stayed at a hotel. Chloe, you're getting married tomorrow, my mother said, sitting on my bed, her eyes filled with tears. I'm so happy for you. Mom, don't cry, I said, taking her hand. I'm very happy. I know, she said, wiping her tears. He's a good boy. You won't be wronged with him. I know, I said, nodding. Chloe, this time, you have to cherish it, she said seriously. Not everyone is lucky enough to meet someone who truly loves them. I know, Mom, I said, hugging her. I will. That night, I lay in bed, thinking about the wedding. I was a little nervous, but mostly excited. Tomorrow, I would be his wife. At this thought, I couldn't help but smile. Just then, my phone rang. It was a text from him. Chloe, are you asleep? I replied, not yet. A little nervous. Me too. I'm too excited to sleep. He replied, when I see you tomorrow, I'll be the happiest man in the world. Reading his text, my heart was full of sweetness. I'll be the happiest woman in the world. I replied, get some rest. Tomorrow is our big day. All right. Good night. Good night, my bride. Seeing the words, my bride, my heart raced. Tomorrow, I would really be his bride. The next morning, the makeup artist and hairstylist arrived. They were going to give me the perfect bridal look. MS. Chloe, you have beautiful skin, the makeup artist said as she worked. You look so happy. Do I? I looked in the mirror. I did look radiant. Of course. A woman in love is the most beautiful, the hairstylist said with a smile. You will be the most beautiful bride today. The makeup and hair took over 2 hours. When I saw myself in the mirror, I could hardly believe it. Exquisite makeup, an elegant hairstyle, and that beautiful wedding dress. I really did look like a princess. So beautiful, my mother said, her eyes full of tears when she saw me. My daughter is so beautiful. Mom, don't cry. You'll ruin your makeup. I reminded her. All right, I won't cry, she said, quickly wiping her tears. My father also came over, his eyes full of pride. Chloe, I'm so proud of you. Dad, I said, feeling like I was about to cry, but I held it back, not wanting to ruin my makeup. All right, it's about time. We should go, my mother said, looking at the time. The wedding car was already waiting downstairs. A fleet of luxurious Mercedes Benzes. Sitting in the car, my heart was pounding. I was about to see him, about to become his wife. When we arrived at the hotel, I saw that a large crowd of guests had already gathered. Everyone was waiting to see the bride. The bride is here, someone shouted. I walked into the hotel, surrounded by my bridesmaids. The venue was beautifully decorated, with white roses and champagne. Colored decorations everywhere, like a fairy tale castle. The guests were all seated. When they saw me, they all stood up and applauded. I saw many familiar faces, all our friends and family, but my eyes were only on one person. Him. He was standing at the front, waiting for me, in a black tuxedo, as handsome as a prince. When he saw me, his eyes lit up. I walked toward him, step by step, to the rhythm of the music. Every step brought me closer to happiness. When I reached him, he held out his hand. My beautiful bride, he said gently. I placed my hand in his, feeling the warmth of his palm. The officiant began the ceremony. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness the union of two people in love. Listening to his words, my heart was full of emotion. Finally, the most important moment. Mr. Julian, do you take Ms. Chloe to be your wife, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do you part? I do, he said firmly. Ms. Chloe, do you take Mr. Julian to be your husband, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, To love and to support. Till death do you part. I do. My voice was a little shaky, but firm. Now, the groom may place the ring on the bride's finger. He took the ring and gently slipped it onto my ring finger. The ring was beautiful, the diamond sparkling in the light. Now, the bride may place the ring on the groom's finger. I also took a ring and placed it on his finger. And now, by the power vested in me, I pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride. He gently cupped my face and kissed me tenderly. This kiss confirmed that I had found true love. The room erupted in applause and well wishes. Congratulations. Happy wedding. May you grow old together. We held each other tightly, our eyes filled with happy tears. My wife, he whispered in my ear. My husband, I replied. In that moment, I was the happiest woman in the world. After the ceremony, we went at each table to toast our guests. Congratulations on finding true love. MS. Chloe, you're so lucky. Mr. Julian, to have married such a wonderful wife. May you grow old together and have children soon. We were both filled with gratitude for everyone's well wishes. Halfway through the reception, there was a commotion at the entrance. I turned to look, and my heart sank. It was Mark. He was in a black suit, his face pale, his hair a mess. He looked terrible. The security guards tried to stop him, but he had already rushed in. Chloe. He shouted my name. The entire venue fell silent instantly. Everyone looked at him, then at me. Julian's face turned cold, and he stood in front of me. Mark, this is my wedding. Please leave, I said calmly. Wedding? He sneered. Chloe, are you that eager to marry someone else? The guests began to whisper. The scene was getting chaotic. Security, Julian said, his voice cold. Several security guards immediately surrounded him, but he ignored them and continued to shout at me. Chloe, do you know this man's true colors? I frowned. Mark, what are you talking about? I'm saying Julian is not a good person, he said loudly. He has a reason for getting close to you. The room erupted. Julian's face grew even colder. Mr. Sterling, please don't spread baseless rumors here. Baseless rumors, he sneered. Julian, do you dare to say you have no other motive for getting close to Chloe? I looked at him, angry, but also a little confused. Why was he so sure he had a problem? Mr. Sterling, if you continue to cause trouble, I'm calling the police, Julian said coldly. Police? He wasn't afraid. Then do you dare to let Chloe know the truth? What truth? I finally asked. He looked at me, a complex emotion in his eyes. Chloe, do you know why he wants to marry you? My heart raced. Why? Because you have 250 million, he said loudly. He's after your money. The room erupted again. I looked at Julian. His expression was grim. Julian, is what he's saying true? I asked softly. He was silent for a few seconds. Finally, he said, Chloe, let's talk about this at home. He didn't deny it. My heart instantly turned to ice. So it's true, I said with a bitter smile. Julian, did you really marry me for my money? He looked at me, his eyes full of pain, but also helplessness. Chloe, it's not what you think. Not what I think. My voice began to tremble. Then what is it? He opened his mouth, but in the end, said nothing. I understood. He was telling the truth. He had really approached me for my money. I felt like my whole world was collapsing. Why? Why did I always meet men like this? One betrayed me for his own interests. The other deceived me for money. Am I so unworthy of being truly loved? Chloe, he tried to explain. Don't say my name, I said coldly. Now, immediately, get out of my sight. His face was pale. Chloe, please let me explain. Explain, I sneered. Explain what? Explain how you lied to me. Explain how you deceived my feelings. I didn't deceive your feelings, he said urgently. Chloe, I truly love you. Truly love me. I laughed at his words. If you truly loved me, why didn't you tell me the truth from the beginning? He was speechless. I looked at him, my eyes devoid of any warmth. Julian, from now on, we're over. No. He tried to grab my hand, but I dodged him. Chloe, give me a chance to explain. There are no more chances, I said coldly. You and him are the same. You're both liars. With that, I turned and walked away. Behind me, I heard his desperate cry, Chloe, but I didn't look back. I had seen through it all. Men's words are all lies. There is no such thing as true love in this world. I rushed out of the venue, with him chasing after me. Chloe, please let me explain, he said, grabbing my arm. Let go of me. I struggled to break free. I don't want to see you again. Chloe, it's really not what you think. His eyes were full of pain. I truly love you. Truly love me. I sneered. If you truly loved me, why did you lie to me? I had my reasons. He stammered. Reasons. I laughed in anger. What reason could possibly justify deceiving my feelings? He opened his mouth, but in the end, still didn't tell me the truth. I was completely disappointed. We're over, I said coldly. From now on, I don't want to see you again. No, Chloe, I won't give up, he said, his eyes red. I'll prove to you that I truly love you. I ignored him and got in my car. He tried to follow, but I left him behind. On the way home, my tears finally fell. Why? Why did I always meet men like this? Why couldn't I just meet someone who truly loved me? Was I too naive? Or is there really no such thing as true love in this world? Back home, I locked myself in my room and took off that beautiful wedding dress. Looking at my haggard reflection in the mirror, I let out a bitter laugh. How ironic. A few hours ago, I was the happiest bride in the world. Now, I was a deceived fool. I took out my phone and began to deal with the aftermath. First, I had to inform all our friends and family that the wedding was canceled. Chloe, what on earth happened? My mother asked, her voice anxious. Mom, he lied to me, I said, my voice choked. He only approached me for my money. What? My mother was shocked. That bastard. I'm going to go find him and settle the score. Forget it. Mom, I said, shaking my head. It's over. For the next few days, I shut myself in at home, refusing to see anyone. He came to see me every day, but I had the security guard stop him. He sent me countless messages, made countless calls, but I didn't respond. Chloe, please give me a chance to explain. I know you're very sad right now, but please believe me. I truly love you. I admit I had other motives at first, but later, I really fell in love with you. Chloe, I can't live without you. Please forgive me this one time. Reading his messages, I felt nothing. Love. What is love? Is deception also called love? A week later, I finally left the house. I was going to start my life over. I could live a good life without a man. I cut my hair short, got a new style, and looked more capable. MS. Sterling, you're back, my assistant said, pleasantly surprised to see me. Yes. How's work? I asked. Everything is fine. There are just a few projects that need your approval. All right, bring me the files. Throwing myself back into work helped me temporarily forget the pain of my failed relationship. Just as I thought life could get back on track, he appeared again. Chloe, he said, standing at my office door. I frowned. How did you get in? I told the receptionist I was your friend, he said, a little embarrassed. Chloe, can we talk? There's nothing to talk about, I said coldly. Please leave. Chloe, I came to apologize, he said, walking into my office. I shouldn't have caused a scene at your wedding. Apologize. I sneered. Are you here to apologize? Or to gloat? He turned pale. I wasn't gloating. You weren't. I stood up. Do you think I don't know what you're thinking? He lowered his head, not daring to meet my eyes. Are you feeling smug? Do you think I deserve to be deceived? I asked coldly. No, I didn't think that, he said, quickly waving his hands. Let me tell you, even if he is a liar, I will never go back to you, I said, without a shred of mercy. In my heart, you are both the same. You are both liars. My words stung him. He looked even more miserable. Chloe, I'm not like him, he said in a small voice. How are you different? I retorted. You betrayed me. He deceived me. What's the difference? He was speechless. Mark, I'll say this one last time. It's impossible between us, I said coldly. Please don't bother me again. He stood there, looking at me, his eyes full of unwillingness. But in the end, he left. Over the next few days, I focused on my work and stopped thinking about relationships. I told myself that I could live a wonderful life on my own. A month passed. I thought life had finally calmed down. Until one day, I received an unexpected call. MS. Chloe, I'm a friend of Julian's. A strange man's voice said. I'd like to meet with you. There's something I need to tell you. What is it? I asked. It's about him. He said. MS. Chloe. You might have misunderstood him. I hesitated. Who are you? I'm his business partner. My last name is Zhang. He said. MS. Chloe. If you're free, let's meet and talk. I thought for a moment and finally agreed. The next afternoon, I met this Mr. Zhang at a coffee shop. He was a middle-aged man in his 40s, and he seemed very sincere. MS. Chloe. Thank you for agreeing to meet me, he said after sitting down. What did you want to say? I asked directly. He looked at me and sighed. MS. Chloe. You've really misunderstood him. Misunderstood. I sneered. He lied to me. That's a fact. What's there to misunderstand? He did approach you with other motives at first, but it wasn't for money, he said seriously. I was taken aback. Not for money. Then for what? He hesitated for a moment, then said, MS. Chloe. Do you know about his family background? No, I said, shaking my head. We haven't known each other for long. He's actually the heir to the Sterling Group, he said. His family is much larger than the Sterling family. I was shocked. What? Yes. He's not short of money at all, he continued. He approached you for another reason. What reason? I asked urgently. He was silent for a long time. Finally, he said, for revenge. Revenge. I was even more confused. Revenge for what? To get revenge on Mark, he said. MS. Chloe. Do you know the relationship between them? I shook my head. They're business rivals, and they have a deep-seated hatred for each other, he explained. A few years ago, Mark used some underhanded tactics to steal a major project from his family, which caused his father to fall ill. I was dumbfounded. From then on, he vowed to get revenge on Mark, he continued. When he found out you were his ex-wife, he wanted to get close to you to get back at him. My heart sank. So, he only approached me to get revenge on Mark. That was the plan at first, he said, nodding. But later, he really fell in love with you. Fell in love with me. I gave a bitter smile. If he really loved me, why didn't he tell me the truth? Because he was afraid you wouldn't understand. He sighed. MS. Chloe. He is a proud man. He has never bowed his head to anyone. But for you, he was willing to put aside all his pride. I was silent. So that was the truth. He had approached me with other motives. But not for money. For revenge. But what difference did that make? He had still deceived my feelings. MS. Chloe. He's in a lot of pain right now, he said. He thinks about you every day. He can't even work. That's not my problem, I said coldly. MS. Chloe. Are you really not willing to give him another chance? He asked. He really loves you. I looked at him, my heart in turmoil. On one hand, I was deeply hurt by his deception. On the other, I couldn't help but remember the good times we had together. The care, the gentleness, the consideration. Was it all a lie? Mr. Zhang, thank you for telling me this, I said, standing up. But Julian and I are over. He looked at me with disappointment. MS. Chloe, are you sure? Yes, I said firmly. I don't want to be used by anyone again. With that, I walked out of the coffee shop without a backward glance. But his words left a deep impression on me. Over the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about what he had said. Did he really love me? Or was this just another one of his tactics? I couldn't tell anymore. Maybe I should just let it go completely.